you have a good product and you acquire customers and keep them, one happy customer at a time, you grow your business that way. Just like any business before the internet, you grow one happy customer at a time and you let word of mouth and repeat purchases and whatever. But that's not like the get rich quick overnight, which is what everybody wants. I've been doing this for 10 years and we're still acquiring customers every single day,
Yeah.
And I want a good show, damn it. Ready for a good show?
Doing awesome, yeah. I'm excited to talk to you, Angie. Thank you for having me.
Yes!
I've always been really big into archery, and my dad said, hey, you guys want to start an archery store?
Yes, that's how it is.
Yes, of course, let's do this together.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the E-Comm Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Ecomm Show. As usual, I'm your host, Andrew Maff, and today I am joined by the amazing Colin Stuckert, who is the CEO over at Wild Foods. Colin, how you doing, buddy? You ready for a good show?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Beautiful. Super excited to have you on the show. I've had several people on the show in a very similar product line. You've got a very interesting approach to it. So really excited to kind of dig into this here and learn a little bit more about Wild Foods. But I always like to start these out kind of stereotypical, give you the room, let you kind of tell us a little bit about your background, tell us about how you got started Wild Foods, and we'll take it from there.
Totally. Yeah. Scratched my own itch, really. When I was heavily into CrossFit way back in 2009 or so. And then I got into kind of paleo diet, primal, bulletproof coffee, fasting in the morning, then got heavily into supplements. And I'm just like, I'd read these bottles off of stuff I'd buy online or on Amazon or whatever, and just be like, where's this come from? How's it made? There's even to this day, there's very little there. And I was like, what if I just like found really good stuff and then just bought it in bulk and really just for myself first. So I wasn't trying to build a business out of it. And that first protein we got, that first product really was a non-to-nature grass-fed whey from organic farms in Australia. I had to buy these huge bags of it at a time, and it was just so good. And I was just like, I keep hearing about this FBA thing at the time, like Smart Passive Flynn and all those early marketing podcasts coming out, and I was like, I'll just like throw some inventory in and see what happens. And like, I did that and they sold, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then the next month I sent more inventory in and it sold again. And I was just like, okay, this is really interesting. And like literally that first year, starting with the protein and then probably launching another 10 SKUs around that time of like coffee and tea and some other stuff I was using. We did $500,000 that first year. And then, for the next 3 years, doubled in revenue and, build a business. And then the story continues on. But that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I've been in the game ever since.
So, the nutrition space, anything in the CPG space, wildly complicated, extremely competitive, especially from a digital perspective, because then you have the issue of, people typically want to try something before they buy it. And then most of the time CPG, you're not buying like a single use here. You've got to sell several of them. So the price points are higher. Like there's a bunch of challenges around it. What was your approach to kind of differentiate and get the product moving?
Yeah. I mean, again, 10 years ago versus today, lots changed,
very different.
Right? But I'll kind of like walk you back through the history of it, because some of the principles that we identified then are still applicable now. Just maybe how you execute them might be different, right?
Yeah.
Well, at the time, it was also like, okay, you're building a business on Amazon. A lot of people are building businesses. Young kids making all this money. It's exciting. But then everyone starts talking about like, well, that guy had his account banned. That guy had his account banned. What if your inventory goes or your listing goes down? It's like you lose all this money. And when it started getting very real with very real money, 6 figures and 7 figures, I was like, that was my primary concern. And so my strategy became like, how do I get off Amazon and get into the Shopify game where I own my customer, own my list, the whole thing like that, right? Now it's a bit like people don't talk about that as much because I think Amazon's matured over the years and there's probably more avenues to like get your account back if it was wrongly banned or whatever. But like that, how that plays into also your question about how do you get products in people's hands, they're kind of, it's a dual thing. So what I did is, and I don't necessarily recommend doing this. Like I used to bag every product. So let's say I got a product here actually, right? This is just a bag of a product we actually haven't launched yet. I would put it in a poly bag, right? So that I could put an insert inside the bag and then put a label on the outside. Now, when I'm doing 100, 200 units a month of a SKU, that's very doable. Now at our scale, like it's just impossible, right? Or I'm paying a 3PL, like a lot of kitting fees to do that. So I put in a booklet, a nice booklet with a lot of recipes and a lot of call to actions inside the booklet. And then I actually had this program called the Wild Minis program, where we would take individual, like a cocoa powder or a maca or whatever, and we put into these small mini clear bags and then seal it. And that would be a sample inside the product with also call to action to come to the website. That was able to take me from 100% Amazon business to like probably a 70% Amazon business with like 30% then moving to Shopify. And now, I mean, we're probably at like a 60-40 mix. We don't do that program anymore, but we are looking to test some like dollar first subscription offers right now. Cause like, again, now we're running into the problem of it's the same thing. It's so competitive. Everyone, is running ads and doing all these things. How do you actually get people to make that first purchase? And we're going for more of that, like almost a venture capital playbook where let's just lose a lot on the front end and try to get people into the network and then scale that way. So that's something we're exploring, but it's a constant issue with consumables of like, how do I get product into people's hands? It's always something that I've told my team, and anything I can do to do that. Events and seminars are good too. Like actually going to and interacting with people and having booths. We did that for quite a bit, but it's not scalable. It's really time consuming, expensive, and whatever, So I guess everyone has to kind of figure out their strategy and their mix. Like giveaways can work, but then people are there for free stuff. And, it is a constant challenge. If you're a consumable brand, like people are taking a big risk if they never tried it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
are you still doing the inserts?
We are doing booklets, not on the Amazon side though, because a lot of my team, they're very nervous and they're just like, Amazon, they can ban you and whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm more like, well, let's just like see if we get a flag first and then change it, but we haven't been doing it right now. We're trying to figure out some solutions where maybe, the sticker on the top that you can peel off, but there's added expense there and getting fees. And so there's things you can do, but it just depends on like how much risk you want to take really.
I would like to take a break from today's episode to thank our sponsor, ShipForward. If you run an e-commerce business that ships products from Asia to North America, you know how stressful the journey can get. With too many suppliers, emails, quotes, customs, delays, it's a lot. ShipForward makes it simple. It's a digital freight forwarding platform built for small and mid-sized businesses. Think booking a shipment like booking a flight. Just search, compare, and book, done in minutes. Instant quotes, express shipping options, real-time tracking, and 24/7 human support. Add services like customs clearance and cargo insurance for the full end-to-end experience. You can try it for free today at shipforward.com.
I
was gonna say, like, that's that whole concept. I've preached that for a while, but it's one of those like you kind of tread lightly with it, where it's like it's a little bit of a gray area. Like technically in TOS says you can't do it, but it also says if it's like to your point, if it's inside a poly bag, it's part of the product, and
right.
they can't do anything about that. So like that's always kind of an interesting way to skew it. Obviously now Amazon's got several different ways to like drive that traffic back to Amazon that they allow you to do, but even the the inserts, it works if you're willing to just kind of know that it is possible they could do something at one point. I've never heard of anyone actually getting flagged for that though. Have you?
I mean, it's a good question. It's like you more just hear about the horror stories of a completely banned account.
Yeah.
But you will get warnings for things. Like you get like the product violation where somebody complains, like they say, oh, the seal is broken. It's like, dude, come on. Like seriously, like you'll take my whole listing down because somebody might've gotten a product that was damaged during transit, and you just got to kind of work through that stuff. But Amazon has become better and they're getting more mature in just like not taking down your whole listing or account, and giving you warnings. So it's hard to say, but it's just really not one of those things you want to like find out for yourself.
It's a good point.
It's almost like retargeting is a better thing. It's almost like let's say you use Amazon to find new customers because they have so many customers and you can find them, whatever. But to get them off Amazon is you can retarget. There's some strategies there. Amazon DSP and some of these other things are also getting more advanced where like there's even letting you maybe market like off Amazon to your Amazon list. Like there's like integration with Shopify stuff that I've been seeing and things that might be evolving, but we're moving to more of an omni-channel platform system anyways. And I think the platforms are waking up to that. At the end of the day, if you have a good product and you acquire customers and keep them, one happy customer at a time, you grow your business that way. Just like any business before the internet, you grow one happy customer at a time and you let word of mouth and repeat purchases and whatever. But that's not like the get rich quick overnight, which is what everybody wants. I've been doing this for 10 years and we're still acquiring customers every single day.
Yeah. That thing you're referring to. So that's, I actually did an event with them a couple weeks ago, Buy with Prime. So if you have Buy with Prime
Right,
now,
right,
they now let you do driving traffic DSP back to the website for CPG brands. I think it's awesome. And I agree. I think that's a lot safer than doing the
for
the
sure.
inserts.
Right. Yep.
How big's the product line now?
So this is kind of like something that I harp on now, even with somebody with a multi-SKU line of, I would say probably 30 to 40 SKUs. At one point, we probably had 100, 150, but we've been continually just whittling and getting down to those core SKUs, and then only launching very strategically, even small tests if possible. But I think the future, you're going to see more and more so, is going to be like single hero SKU brands. You know, the Mudwaters of the
Really?
world, the Vital Proteins. I mean, even like On It was Alpha Brain mostly, and all the other stuff they sold probably was like a loss. It was just like a brand play, you know.
Yeah.
But and it's because like you have limited capital, little limited time, limited attention. Even if you have a big team, like what do they focus on? They focus on 5 products this week or one. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard enough to get one funnel to scale and really work and have your whole creative system of testing 100 ads a week or whatever. It's like now do that with like 5 SKUs or 10 or 50. It's like just literally impossible. You know, so I think like you're gonna always have the multi-SKU brands, the Garden of Lives of the world, but like I feel like you're gonna haul out the middle. You're either gonna be like a single SKU hero brand, like the Mudwaters of the world, or you're gonna be like the Garden of Life with it's like you have capital and you're going for more of a brand play. But I mean, that's the thing we've struggled with of just having so many SKUs of what to focus on. You know, one way we're actually solving that is like having sub brands. So like for example, our Wild Pets brand line is it's a wild foods product, but like we're not really promoting it that way. It's going to be kind of its own funnel, maybe even its own website, its own content, its own email flows. Everything's going to be unique and separate. And if we do that, apply that same logic to like a wild woman or like wild kids, and because it's hard enough to get somebody to come into a brand, and when you have 100 options, who are you? What are you known for? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really tough to scale a brand that way. You can grow a brand over time, but it's hard to scale.
Yeah.
You know.
So you're almost referring to like building out a brand like almost per product or per like product category almost, like, so to your point, like women line or the kids line, because to your point, especially in the nutritional space, I've seen this be a common problem where like it's really hard if you lean in on, like you mentioned your background's CrossFit, right? So if you really lean in on CrossFit, maybe you really lean in on like the MMA side, something like that, you're completely alienating a huge group of an audience that would absolutely still benefit from the product line, but because of the branding, it doesn't work. So your logic is just brand the products differently, and that way your messaging can align with that customer. Am I right?
You want the brand and the product to be as closely aligned to one customer as possible. Like that's it, right? One product, one customer, and then your funnel, your marketing, your content, your ads, your creative, every single thing is as congruent to that as possible. You know. And I think we're going to see that more and more because it's just really hard to compete in today with everything that's going on when like you're trying to think of a good analogy. It's like you can only put a little bit of attention in a bunch of things versus a lot of attention in one thing. Obviously what's going to do better? It's going to be the thing you give the most attention to, and if anybody, your audience follows Hermosi, all he's been harping on for the past like month is like focus. You know what I'm saying? Every time I see one of his posts about focus, I'm like, God damn it, he's right. It's like, how can I implement that more in my business? So yeah, I just think it's going to get harder and harder to just like launch products and just like let them be there. It's going to be like you have to launch a product and you have to give it your intense focus for like 90 days until you can get something to click, and then
Yeah, it's interesting. Huh. Yeah. And so is your thought that also that all lives under one website and like kind of like a parent brand, or are you actually thinking like, no, these should be just all separate sites, like just treat them completely differently?
I think separate, right? Because it's the power of focus, Now like maybe the domain's the same. Like we have this Wild Man funnel we've been toying with where you have like the Wild Man product page and it's like on the shop and they can go there and people can find it, but we're not going to drive traffic to that. We actually have like a really solid long form landing page. It's like, there's no header. There's no you don't even really see the Wild brand. It's just like Wild Man. It's kind of almost a different design even. It's very masculine. It's dark and, primal and jungly, right? And it looks a lot different from the website, right? I think what you'll see is you have both. I think like the new funnel strategy is going to be more along like even the email, the SMS, your follow-ups, your retargeting, everything, like even the social accounts connected. Like maybe you run your Instagram ads to like a Wild Man account instead of like the Wild Foods account. It has to be more targeted to one customer. They're going to see you in different places. And so the more you can get all those places cohesive and you get the the 7 touch points they say you have to like sell somebody or whatever, the more that's targeted to one customer, the stronger your conversions, right? I think that is the future. Now, whether it's under one brand or the same website or not, that's all just like mostly tech considerations that you can figure out.
Yeah.
You know?
So that would be kind of like one of those things, you get a lot of people that say stuff like, it's one thing to talk to your customer. It's another thing to really know them, because
Man,
you could talk to whoever you want.
Yeah.
So like, what is that kind of what the thought process is there? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. It's, everyone says like obsess over your customer, but like who does it?
Yeah.
And listen, I'm guilty of this more than anybody. Like you have an e-commerce brand, customer service tickets are like this thing you don't want to deal with. But the reality is, if you actually embraced it and you even like had a book a call to the CEO link, which like no CEOs do. I mean, honestly, I don't have one. I need to add this, but like I have my team. I usually defer to my team. I'm like, you guys go do 10 calls with Wildman customers. They did it. The data we got was invaluable, right? If you don't truly know your customer, like really know them, have conversations with them, interact with them, like, and this is where events come in a lot. You learn so much when you're interacting with people at events where they're like, yeah, I've been buying products from you for 5 years. I'm like, holy crap, talk to me right now. Like everything I can learn about you. You know what I'm saying? Where do you live? Do you have kids? Do you not? Like, what are your hobbies? Like, how much money do you make? It's like, that's the stuff that you think a survey is going to get for you, or like some metadata is going to get. No, it doesn't. It never does. You know what I'm saying? It never does. Right? It's like, it's just it's like fake data, right? When you get that real, true understanding of your customer. And this is also why a lot of these brands that like solve an itch, they can do that because they're their first customer. They know what they care about and what they want. If they build a brand around that, they at least know that they got to find like a million versions of themselves. And there's probably like a million people that are approximately that version, right? But if you really truly expand beyond that and you interview your customers, you have calls with them, you reply to tickets, you do the whole like Zappos thing where you like have long conversations with them rather than just trying to mark them off. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. I think that's another one of those ways that's going to coincide with this like core focus of just like one customer, building my product, my brand, everything around towards them, and just serving them completely at the expense of everyone else. And a good example of this is, I think Primal Queen is her brand. She's doing $1 million a month with a beef organ complex targeted at women. And it's like almost all DDC. And it's even like, sorry guys, not for you. Like she's even leaning into it with that kind of stuff, and I think we're going to see more and more of that.
Yeah. I mean, it really is kind of digging in, not only very, like to your point, very deep into knowing the customer and actually knowing who you're speaking to, but like when you really become like extremely loyal to a customer base and you are speaking directly to them, while it does theoretically alienate a larger market, it also allows you to connect with that market so much harder. So to your point about focus, it's like, and it's basically, if you go too broad, you're not really talking to anyone. You're just talking to everyone and no one's listening. Whereas if you're speaking directly to an individual person, they're going to feel more like they connect with the brand. They're going to become more of like an evangelist more so than they do just a customer.
And every strong brand on earth is defined by who it's not for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Apple, luxury brands, the Ferraris. Oh, there's limited. You can't get them. You know what I'm saying? Like everything, it's literally defined by the fact that you're not for everyone. That's what defines a brand. Yeah.
One of the things I definitely wanted to ask you. So everyone, for those of you who don't know podcast magic, sometimes we ask people on the show to fill out a form and tell us about if there's something they want to talk about.
Okay.
You mentioned something in yours, and I was just like, I'm not even going to segue this. I'm just going to bring this up.
Okay.
Your note was you made a huge mistake early in your career that cost you almost $10 million.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And so I was like, oh, we're telling that story.
For sure. Yeah.
So go for it. How the hell did that happen?
Yeah. So the summarized story of Wild is grew like crazy, ran out of cash to support growth. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is very common, right? So go looking for like investors or maybe sell the whole thing or whatever. Found private equity group, did a deal. They got the extra 1% of the business. I lost control of finances, paying for inventory, all this, whatever. That whole group blew up basically. And there was some like larceny and some shit that happened, whatever. And I'm just kind of like watching as it happens. Our sales dropped by about 90%.
Oh,
right. The lowest they'd been since I started the business. Right. I was patient, to my credit. I didn't mouth off to some people I wanted to. I was just like, no, I'm going to I'm going to be strategic here. Cause like my thought was if they showed the P&L to other investors, cause they're trying to liquidate their portfolio. So maybe a buyer could have came in. I was like, no buyer's going to look at this thing that they just been like taking all these shared services out of. They're basically just, they were bleeding dry the business on the P&L, routing it to their other brands. I knew that it's going to be hard to sell it to an investor when it's like losing $50K a month or whatever the number was at the time.
Yeah.
So what basically happened is they brought somebody in, cleaned the whole mess up, and they sold the business back to me for, I mean, literally, I almost didn't even have to come out of pocket. I bought the whole business back. I had to obviously refund growth. I quadrupled the business in a year and a half because I knew what to do. I just did the basics. Like I bought inventory, you know what I'm saying? Quadrupled the business back, got it back to not where it was, but like I would say about 80% of where it used to be on the path up. Then I finally sold the whole thing, you know, and then I got offered CEO position and some equity. And so now I'm running it again. And we actually had the best month last month in the history of the company, 10 years. But like it was, when I say roller coaster, you have no idea, you know? But the way I lost the 10 mil was on our run up. One of our best selling products was on its path to become on the first page of Amazon. Now, this is in one of the biggest supplement categories on earth, the product, right? If you're on the first page of Amazon, you're probably doing $1 million a month minimum, maybe even more if you're in like the top 5. Like it's just a massive, massive thing.
Yeah.
The reason, what happened is I got to put a new PO in. It's a $50,000 deposit. I didn't have terms, you know, it's like you're learning. You don't even have terms, and it's hard to get terms in general with suppliers, you know? So they wanted $50,000 in cash just to start the order. So I was like, oh, I don't have $50,000 in cash. So what happened is I stocked out. Just from the stock out, I probably lost $250,000 over the course of 90 days, maybe more, you know? But had I not stocked out, I believe it would have been a path to the front page of Amazon. It would have put the valuation of that business at minimum 10 million, probably more. So when I actually sold the business, I sold it for a fraction of that number, right? And then I bought it back and I sold it again. Like it was a fraction, but it would have been minimum 10 million, maybe more, because if I could have kept it going. But the reason that was a mistake was I launched too many products. Because every time I launch one of these SKUs, these fancy SKUs, I love launching SKUs. It's a minimum $10,000 investment. I give the supplier $10,000 of my money that I could have used to operate, and I could have funneled into my best sellers, but I went too wide. And that's a lot of what I now teach and harp on is like focus, build your cash reserves, never run out of stock. Obviously, anybody that's growing on Amazon knows that like stocking out is the worst thing ever.
Death wish.
You know, I've done it. I've literally stocked out probably 50 times in this business career. You know what I'm saying? Where like if I would have just kept, oh man, painful to even talk about. But it's like from a valuation perspective of what I could have sold for, and from the cash flow I would have earned by just taking advantage of the growth, minimum $10 million loss.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know what's the weirdest thing that's happening to me right now is I have never heard of someone either selling the business completely or even selling a majority of it and then getting into a situation where they can actually buy it back for either the same or, you know, pennies on the dollar in some case.
Yep.
Literally just last week. It hasn't aired yet, but obviously by the time this episode airs, it would have aired. I interviewed the CEO of BattleBox, and he had that exact same thing and I was like, I'd never heard that. I'd never known that happens. And here I am, number 2. That's crazy. That's just it seems subtly serendipitous to a certain extent that you're able to like just get it back and kind of turn it around and refocus.
Yeah. And it actually happens a lot in private equity, but you don't hear about the deals as much.
Yeah.
You know, because the nature of private equity, whatever, like venture is slightly different. But a lot of times these private equity guys have all this money and they got to spend it. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot of these, especially out of the 2020 run up of all the free, cheap money flowing around. They were just buying shit left and right. You know what I'm saying? And like, it's really hard. Like business is very hard. Growing a business is very hard. And just not dying as a business is very hard. So when you're just like buying a bunch of shit, like I'm not surprised this doesn't happen all the time. And the founder always knows the business better than anyone anyways, you know? So like when I say pennies on the dollar from what they paid me, it was like not even probably like 2% of their purchase price that I got it back. Like maybe 1%
awesome.
of it. Like literally like, oh my God. And then I negotiated strong. Some of what I owed them was going to be a note on the business that I could pay off from the business cash flow. So when I mean, I actually only came out of pocket like a low 5 figures to buy back. And then I just used those growing sales that I knew how to get to pay them. I mean, like inventory and everything. Like it was actually an amazing deal, but it was stressful as shit. I don't know if I can curse here, but like it was very stressful. So I wouldn't recommend it, but it's like, you know, it's that type of shit that really turns you into battle tested. And then you understand how deals work. You understand human psychology. Like like the value in my mind is probably worth 10 million over the course of my career because I just learned so much. But I would have rather just had the 10 mil, to be honest.
Yeah, well, me too.
Yeah.
Colin, this was awesome. I really appreciate all your time. I know you're super busy. I would love to give the opportunity here, let everyone know where they can find out more about you and, of course, more about Wild Food.
Totally. Yeah. Wildfoods.co. We're also on Amazon. I've been doing that for 10 years. I'm doing Rize on the side. We're helping some brands grow and doing some coaching stuff there. I'm going to be in this e-com game forever. I kind of realized that when I bought the company back, and then when I even sold again, I was like, maybe I'll do something else. But it's just like, why? Like, why do something else when this is my skill set and the systems and the team? And now even with AI and all the cool stuff you can do, like, it's like fun. It's like every day there's like some new cool thing I can like implement with the team, Yeah.
Awesome. Colin, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Obviously, everyone who tuned in, thank you as well. Please make sure you do the usual thing, rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff on whichever podcast platform you prefer, or head over to the ecommshow.com to check out all of our previous episodes. But as usual, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you all next time. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ecomm Show. Head over to ecommshow.com to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on the BlueTuskr YouTube channel. The Ecomm Show is brought to you by BlueTuskr, a full-service digital marketing company specifically for e-commerce sellers looking to accelerate their growth. Go to BlueTuskr.com now for more information. Make sure to tune in next week for another amazing episode of the Ecomm Show.